Hello, friends. I'm Kathy Fay, Executive Director of the Boston Early Music Festival, or BEMF, and I'm so pleased to once again welcome you to this pre-concert talk preparatory to the upcoming performance by the incomparable Tallis Scholars, taking place on Friday, December 5th at 8 p.m. in the exquisite St. Paul Church in Harvard Square, Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm joined by Peter Phillips, founder and director of the Tallis Scholars, and Professor Suzannah Clark, Morton B. Knafel Professor of Music at Harvard College. Peter and Susie, I know the two of you continue to enjoy a wonderful friendship since your days at Oxford together, and I'm so honored by your willingness to meet with me and BEM fans around the world in what has become a precious annual tradition, that is these pre-concert talks with the two of you before upcoming Tallis Scholars performances. My sincere thanks to both of you. Peter, if my calculations are correct, the December 5th concert will mark your 37th appearance on the annual BEMF concert stage. Of course, that includes two virtual appearances back in 2020 and 2021. And when I factor in additional performances at our biennial festivals over the years, that number has grown to just under 60, I believe, which is extraordinary and surely a record and worthy of celebration at some point. We'll have to figure out what that celebration will look like. Since your first concert here in Boston in 1989, the Tallis Scholars have enchanted Boston audiences with truly sublime performances. Your annual appearances are among the most highly anticipated events taking place during Boston's thriving concert season. And we're so fortunate to welcome you back after two performances in June at our recent festival, which makes this your third appearance on the BEMF concert stage in 2025 alone. Needless to say, we're very fond of you. You have prepared a glorious program in celebration of the holiday season titled Mother and Child, English Music for the Virgin Mary, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about this program from both of you. For our viewers, tickets for the upcoming concert by the Tallis Scholars are still available and can be purchased online by visiting the BEMF website at bemf.org or by calling the BEMF office, 617-661-1812. For those unable to attend our in-person performance on Friday, December 5th, virtual tickets are on sale as well. Our virtual presentation premieres on Saturday, December 13th, and will be available for a 2-week period from December 13th through and including December 27th. Finally, if you're interested in learning more about the program, you'll find excellent program notes, the complete text and translations, and the full concert program, again, on our website, bemf.org. And now I will disappear from the screen. Before I go, again, thanks Peter and Susie, and my thanks to all of you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you at the concert on Friday, December 5th. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kathy. And it's great to see you again, Peter. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday. And it's great to see you again for our pre-concert talk together. And as Kathy just said, the concert is called Mother and Child, and it's English music for the Virgin Mary. So one of the things that I think is so interesting about this program is that you've programmed composers from the late 15th century and through the Renaissance to the early 17th century. That would be Byrd, who published his Mass of the Virgin in 1605. And then we're also going to be treated to some Benjamin Britten from the very early 20th century to a brand new piece by Matthew Martin, written especially for this particular tour. I just wanted to start off by where the concert starts. And that is that while a lot of the music is going to be for 5 voices, the Renaissance music that is, The Thomas Tallis piece, the Puer Natus est nobis mass, is for 7 voices. So it's a sort of magnificent way to start the concert. And we'll have the Gloria at the beginning. And then you've split up the mass so that at the beginning of the intermission, we then get the Sanctus and the Agnus Dei. So my first question to you is, if you could tell us a little bit about what you think is special about Thomas Tallis's style in this particular mass, and maybe also in particular tell us a bit about the handling of his cantus firmus, which is, very
Yeah. Yeah, well, the cantus firmus is the clue to this particular piece, and it makes it, I think, a completely original composition, in fact, because the cantus firmus, which is the chant that the whole piece is based on, Puer Natus Est, is essentially a note of A flat. Well, in the pitch we're doing it at, it's probably an F, I would think, in the original sort of. But it does move off that A flat sometimes, but it's the tenor who is singing that chant part is essentially singing that note for a very long time. And we were talking about this in rehearsal this morning because we've just been rehearsing, and it sounds really dull to have to sing an A flat with all this activity going on around you. But he pointed out that you're at the very sort of center, you're at the epicenter of a fantastic world of sound, and you're sort of controlling it. I mean, it's all dressed up to make your part both very obvious and not at all obvious. So there's so much detail, and then there's the A flat. And when it moves off the A flat, it sometimes moves to a B flat. And that's a sort of seismic event in the way the music comes over. And we play this up a bit because you might miss it. I mean, it's just tremendous. Yeah, and okay. I haven't got the score in front of me, and anyway, it wouldn't mean much without the score to you, but it's rooted, absolutely rooted. You can tell. I mean, a composer of lesser ability would just be completely stuck with the harmony that goes on with an A flat, but not Tallis. And he never did anything like this again, as far as I'm aware, not with such a long note, cantus firmus. And I don't know anyone else who dared to do this kind of very restricted cantus firmus setting.
Yeah. So there's sort of a debate also amongst scholars as to why he fashioned it in this way. And Joseph Kerman and others talk about how if you take the vowels, so A, E, I, O, U, and then
Yes.
A is number 1, obviously, and E is 2, I is 3, O is 4, and U is 5. And then you map on the length of the notes of the Puer Natus Est Nobis chant. You realize that he's taken the notes that belong to the U vowels to the length of a proportion of 5. And then, so that's Pu is 5, and then Er is 2. And then Na of Natus is one sort of proportion length, and then the tus is back to 5, right? So then if you take the fact that something like nobis, so the no, the no, or the o sound is 4 of nobis, has 4 notes, right? Each of them is then 4 times the length of any note that is to the syllable A of the original chant, right?
Mm.
And then in the original chant, there's also a lot of repeated notes, as you say, right?
Yes.
But you don't hear the math, right? But what the way he's constructed it and the way he makes it so elastic with all these repeated notes is by giving so much proportion to the vowel sounds. And there's a lot of puer natus and nobis, which are the later vowels. And so that's how he's constructed it. And then, of course, once he has these long notes, he then repeats them to actually put in the new words, which are the words of the mass. So so there is actually a highly structured mathematical structure to the chant. And as you say, musically, he's given himself an enormous problem, which is how do you get, lots of motion from something that's so static?
Yes, that's it. I mean, how did he invent so much interesting music around a mathematical structure as strict as the one you've just described? I mean, I've done this piece, I've recorded it several times, and we've done it endlessly because it's an obvious Christmas piece to do.
Yes.
And I've never noticed this, obviously. I mean, you'd have to.
I mean,
I
yeah,
wonder
you
whether
count
I
that.
wonder whether it's
Yeah.
true, actually,
Yeah,
Susie.
yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm very happy to believe you because I love these mathematical problems, which
Yeah.
other composers also had great fun with.
Right.
And that challenges something about them that, well, a modern composer could have the same challenge, of course. I mean, mathematics is very, very important to the structure of music from
Yes.
top to bottom.
Yes.
But it challenges the actual imagination, the compositional imagination, to create interesting material around something that's as solid as that. I mean, well,
Yes.
static really is the word, I think.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And
You
also,
won't be. It'll sound as though you're going to get bored with this listening. Anyway, it must be boring, but it's
oh,
not boring at all.
no, no. And the other thing is that if there's like a real moment that I think is, the moment to listen out for, it's in the Sanctus, right?
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course, the words Hosanna in Excelsis, right? And those are, that happens twice, right? And those
Yeah.
are, in my view, two truly magical moments. I don't know if you agree when
Oh, absolutely. They're wonderful to sing actually because they've got such character. They're sort of cheeky in a way and playful. And you can
yeah.
just go for it. It's wonderful to do.
Oh, that's nice to know. Yeah, it sort of
Yeah.
cascades. I can't wait to hear that moment. That's for sure.
Well, we're going to do it.
Yes. Well, if we move on to William Byrd and the votive mass of the Virgin, it obviously starts with the Ave Maria Stella, which is for 3 voices, and then the rest are for 5 voices, right? And my first question to you is: you're playing the Alleluias or singing the Alleluias, correct?
Of course, yes. I mean, you've
Yeah,
got to have those.
yeah, yeah.
Why wouldn't we? Why
Yeah.
wouldn't we?
Oh,
I mean, that.
well, so the interesting thing is that when Byrd was putting together his Gradualia, the publication, right, he knew that some um, uh, chants or motets would serve for different purposes in the church year. And
Yeah.
so if you're singing it as if it's Christmas Day or the Christmas Mass, right? Then you sing the Alleluia. If you're singing for Advent, which you could actually sing it daily just before dawn for Advent, then you would not
Yeah.
sing Alleluias, but you would miss, this is such a different thing. Anyway, so I'm going to ask you about Byrd and his Alleluias, like what makes them, they're sometimes short, but they are magical.
Oh, they're crucial, I think. I mean, it never occurred to me to do these
But
pieces
I'm
without
glad
their
you don't.
Alleluia.
Yes.
I mean, but Susie, this is a concert, not a
Yes.
service.
No,
And
exactly.
I'm
Exactly.
not rooted to any particular. Well, I am rooted to the Christmas message because it's a seasonal concert. But
Right.
well, okay, so we're going to Alleluias for Christmas, yes, and they are short, yes, but we found that if we sang them quite softly, it was good. That you don't have to make a big sort of fanfare necessarily of an Alleluia.
Right.
You just do them gently, and they sort of naturally just progress into the Alleluia as the final element. I don't think there are any amens. Alleluia is the final news,
Yeah.
and it works beautifully, actually.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yes.
3 voice piece ends with an amen, but that's
Oh, yeah,
actually
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's part of the proper part of the sequence, but anyway.
No, it isn't. No, it's from a
Yeah,
different part of the book. But I
right,
mean,
right,
it's a
right.
great way to enter into the spirit
It
of,
is. Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. No, it's that. So what's interesting, therefore, right, is that the Alleluias are detachable,
Yeah.
right? Because they're a little bit separate, and
Yes, they are.
it's for liturgical purposes. But absolutely, in a concert, one has to sing. I mean, we would be tragically missing such a
Yeah.
if we didn't have the Alleluias. Yeah. So if we can come back at the end. I'm doing it in the order of the concert, but I'm going to
Yeah.
skip over the modern pieces. So
Yes.
we talk a little bit about John Taverner.
Yes.
To
The
me,
old one.
yes, yes, the old one, the Renaissance one. His music to me sounds quite different from the others amongst the Renaissance composers. I don't know if
Mm.
you agree. He seems a little more dissonant, or there's more cross relations and things like that. You know,
Um, well, Taverner changed, as you know, changed his style quite dramatically as his life went through.
right?
I mean, the early Taverner is Eton choir book style, very, very florid, it's called,
Yes,
very elaborate, very long-winded, long melismas, that's to say, lines of melody without words, and some of the best music in the repertoire. I mean, the Missa Gloria Tibi Trinitas, for example, is one of the great works of the English repertoire of any time. It's colossal, it's very difficult, and but what we're singing in this concert is a much sort of shortened version of that style. So it's actually very syllabic,
yes,
and the sections are quite short, a number of sections, but they're very compact actually. Yes, and build up very nicely. He's controlled the scenery very well, and it's five voices rather than six. The big masses have six voices. Um, this is a special piece, and there's quite a lot of music by Taverner in this style, including mass settings on these little, what
right.
I call little antiphons or motets.
Yeah,
I can't remember if there is one on this Martyr Christi. There probably is. In fact, I
yeah,
think there is.
there is. Yes,
Well, we're not. Okay, yeah. No, we're
yeah,
not doing that. We're just doing the model. This is the
yeah,
model.
yes,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. No, maybe then you're right. What's different about it is that it's so intense, right? And the sections
yes.
are short, and
Yes.
it's yeah, it feels to me quite modern, right? Uh,
Yes.
um,
It's very modern. I mean, relative to what I was
yeah,
talking about before, it's extremely
exactly.
modern.
Yeah,
Style. It's sort of, but it's not like the music that was coming in from the continent at that time,
right,
which was so
right,
influential, and which Byrd took up. But
right.
Taverner had his own view, and actually, there's very little music in this particular style from anywhere, England or abroad, actually.
And if I can just highlight for the listeners,
Mm,
a moment that I find quite sort of stunning. I mean, which is designed to be this way, is the two times when Jesu or O
yeah,
Jesu
that's
are
right.
dressed, and the
Yeah.
music kind of halts, and it's homophonic. Everyone sings together. I
That's
mean, can
right.
you tell us about those moments, those two moments?
Well, they've got pause marks on them. You may know that a modern pause isn't quite the same thing as a pause in this kind of music, and it tends the pause marking is used to indicate an important word. So Jesu is an
Right,
obvious one, and there are in other pieces there's the same technique. So we have to decide what to do with that. Whether we are going to do modern pauses and just hold the chords until I decide as the conductor, because there's no metrication in there.
right.
You just go yay, zoo or something. So we have to make some decisions. And what we do is the yay is in time, but it's got a halo around it. That's what he wanted, I think. You separate it from the rest of the piece and you just go yay. And then the zoo you can just hold there, stop, on you go.
Oh,
That's what we do. I
And
think
do you
that's fair
react to
enough.
the architecture of the building?
Oh, yes. Yes,
Okay,
that's very interesting. I mean, of course, we know this building very well.
right.
There are some buildings we sing in that we have no idea what we're going to get. And we were talking about that this morning in the rehearsal because there are moments where a very dry building will force decisions on us about how long to hold a chord and whether it's going to help us work through the texture with a nice rounded sound, or whether it's just going to be very matter of fact, and which is not the case in St. Paul's. Of course, we prefer to have help from the building.
Right.
And in this case, if it was a very dry building, I'd just go, oh, I'm sorry, yay, zoo, stop. It's obvious. And then you go on. It'll be much more matter of fact in a dry building.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And Chizzy, I might just add to this because the listener won't be ready for this, that this piece has a very high top part. We do this as a properly treble
Oh,
pitch.
okay.
Yes, we're not, it could be transposed down, but
Right.
we like to do it. But Taverner was very good at this, and all those masses, the original old style masses, were at high pitch,
Oh,
and the texture is, if you can sing it, it's absolutely thrilling.
well,
Brilliant. It's sort of brilliant, I think is the
oh,
word.
oh,
There's a bit of a test for the high sopranos who are called trebles in
right.
those days, not the modern boy treble.
Right.
Everyone knows what that is, but this was a technical term, treble, for a high part. Then
Right.
there was another boy part, with a boy's part underneath that called the mean. So you have
Right.
treble, mean, then the altos.
Right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, well, thanks for telling us that. Well, listen,
Well,
that'll be a
you
treat.
can't miss it. It
Yeah,
hits you
yeah.
between the eyes. If
Oh, the Tallis Scholars are extremely good at it, so it's going to be a
I
treat.
think they're quite good at it today, actually. I'm pleased because they're young, these people. You know, some of my sopranos haven't done this before, certainly not for
Oh,
you.
oh,
So
excellent.
I think you'll be thrilled to hear this, actually.
Fantastic.
Hmm.
Fantastic. So if we move to the Magnificat by John Nesbett, which ends the concert, which is just going to be amazing. Um, so that's from the Eton choir book. And if we actually compare it to the John Taverner, right, we said there's short sections that are very intense and mostly syllabic. Actually, with the John Taverner, it gets melismatic more towards the end, like
A little bit, yes. There's a lovely
grazia.
extension. Yeah.
Once you start to get the word grazia, you start to get long melismas. But with Nesbett, he's Mr. Melisma at the end of every phrase. And so you yourself wrote an article on the Eton Choir book for the
Did I?
New York
Hmm.
Times in 2017. So I'm
Oh,
actually, and you pointed to a number of things. So I'm going to quote you. Um, and you said, and I quote here, one of the earliest pieces from this group of composers in the Eton Choir book, which leaps off the page, is Nesbett's Magnificat. Here is character in abundance,
yeah.
which I just think that's so true. So I'm just
Hmm.
wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what is the character in abundance.
It, you've got to hear it. It's a quite exceptional piece of music. It's basically a late medieval piece.
Mhm.
It's got what's called hocketing. Well, it sounds like hocketing to me. I mean, I don't know what that is really because we don't do very much medieval music, but it's a repeating phrase. It's sort of short repeats with sort of wacky rhythms over it. So you've got a bass part da 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 da, and then the other parts are going da 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 da, da. And that may sound quite modern, but it isn't. It's a wonderful effect, and yeah, it's quite early sounding for even for the Eton Choir book. Actually, I don't know anything more about John Nesbett. Maybe you do. I don't know what
No,
else
no,
he
no,
wrote.
we don't really know.
No.
Yeah, he probably has two pieces to his name, but
Oh,
uh,
I don't.
yeah, I mean, a lot of the music pre the Reformation, right? Unfortunately, we have Henry VIII to blame. He
Yeah.
got a lot of liturgical music in England. So my guess would be for somebody as talented as this, that we're missing a lot, right?
Yeah.
And he was master of the Lady Chapel Choir at Canterbury Cathedral for a while.
Huh.
So so we know little bits about him, but that's about it.
Well, I wonder whether he knew Tallis. I mean, I suppose that's impossible. Tallis was probably born, well, in Kent and possibly in Canterbury
Yeah, they
in
wouldn't have
15.
overlapped.
No, they wouldn't have overlapped, would they?
Yeah,
The Tallis would have
yeah,
been
yeah,
pre-Tallis. Yeah.
yeah. So I think Nesbett died probably around 1488.
Oh no, we would have
And
missed Tallis
and
completely.
then, yeah, Tallis was born in 1505 or something like that. I mean, we don't know the exact date.
Mm.
Anyway, there's also, I think, just to signal to our audience, another magical moment to listen for, and that is the verse that translates into, "He hath filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he hath sent away empty," which I always think is the lines I look for in a composer, because I think it invites, like, how do you write music that captures something about how the rich will be sent away empty, and on the other hand, how the hungry will be filled with good things, right? And so you can sort of see that um, Nesbett is saying the privileged music will be for the hungry with the good things, right? And the
Yes.
sort of more mundane music will be for will take, the rich will be empty. And so it's when he's giving to the hungry the good things, that's when he shifts into the Gimel moment
Ah,
where he splits the treble voice. And so there's two
yes.
high trebles
Yes.
and a
Yes.
bass. So can you
Yep.
tell us a bit about that moment? Because,
Well, that is an extraordinary passage because so it's a gimel, okay. So that, like our record company, that's how it's pronounced, gimel. The two treble part. Well, there are two people, so you have to have two people singing the treble part in the full sections, otherwise you can't do this bit.
right.
Uh, it was quite an interesting point there because it shows that it was choral,
Yes.
must have been. And so at least two singers singing the treble part in the full section, the full five voice sections, will divide here as a twin, gemellus, a twin, and then they sing their own part as it goes through, and it's supported by a bass, quite a high bass part, baritone part.
Yes. So the
Well,
range
that's
is
right.
very high and very low. Very
That,
distinctive.
well, the thing I mean, the extraordinary thing, as far as I saw on the page, was that both the treble parts were singing top B
Hmm.
in the pitch that the Eton Choir Book is published at.
Right.
I mean, you could transpose it down, but if you do that, it's going to affect everything else. So
Yeah,
I rather like putting these young people
yeah, no,
through the test of singing a top B to a full house. So we'll see how well they do, won't we? But they are young. One of them's 24.
oh, wow.
One of the sopranos who will be singing that note is
Excellent.
extremely young for us, actually,
Right.
and very, very talented,
Oh, fantastic.
obviously.
Oh, yes. Well, yeah.
So that's what you have. And so the two treble parts sort of intertwine like that, and they are supported by a fully contrapuntal. It's not a melodic bass part, it's a properly contrapuntal bass part, baritone part that makes up the trio that's going on there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then the trio, when the rich are sent empty away, is
Yes.
then the middle voices, right? And
Yeah.
a little bit, I mean, it's still beautiful, of course, but it's just a little bit after you've had this amazing sound, it's then a more ordinary sound, let's say. And I think that is the meaning of it is intentional there, or I would say it is.
Oh well, good. I hadn't thought of that because I rather like that trio that follows of the middle voice. It's the tenors and the altos actually operating pretty well in the same range. So again, you've actually got a sort of gimel actually with the tenors and altos and the basses underneath. That's right, isn't it? That's the section you're thinking of.
Yes.
I think
Or
yes.
between the countertenor and the tenor, I think.
Yes, that's right. Countertenor and tenor, which very often are basically the same voice type.
Yeah.
We don't think so now, but I'm sure that in those days they were very similar
Right.
singers.
Right.
And in this case, they were singing the same ranges. I love this bit because of the rhythms in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very attractive and fun to do.
Excellent. Well, to
Mm.
sort of round off or finish our conversation, of course, one of the things in the concert is the hymn to the Virgin by Benjamin Britten, which he wrote when he was 16 years old, which is just crazy to think about. Anyway, which is, you know, incredibly beautiful. And how are you handling the two choirs? Because in some ways,
Um,
thought of them spatially. What are you going to do anything special there or?
yeah, we do a spatial separation. One of the choirs is kind of the full choir, though we don't have enough singers to make it as full as you might do. Sort of everyone singing in that choir, and then you have four soloists standing to the side or wherever you put them, and it's at times it's an echo choir, so it's quite effective to have them just a little bit off away. But there are bits also where they have to join in fully with the other choir, so it's a difficult one to rationalize completely. But the four soloists will be standing, oh, not out of sight, just
Okay.
somewhere else, not
Okay.
too far.
Okay. No, that's cool. Yeah, that sounds very good.
And they end the piece, a very long last phrase, actually, and it fades out with them in the distance going down and down, dynamics going down, and it's a very effective ending. The whole thing is extremely effective.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yes.
Yeah,
And mostly the main choir is singing English verse and the other
that's
one
right.
responding in Latin, except at the
Yeah.
very end where the main choir also sings the Latin. But yeah, and they
Yes,
wherever if one listens carefully, whatever harmony ends one group is picked up by the next. And so they're
that's
always
right.
trading off the harmony, not always the same notes, but the same harmony. Anyway, that's something to listen for the joins. I mean, it's just exquisite.
The joins are you're quite right. They're magical joins.
Yes.
Yes, that's true.
Yes. Excellent. I'm glad I'm right about that.
Well,
Yes. And then finally, I just invite you to say a few words about Matthew Martin's
yeah,
piece. Maybe you
yeah.
could talk about what it's like as a live modern day composer today to write for a Renaissance group.
Well, we're rehearsing it for the first time today. That will give you some idea. It's a difficult piece. It's properly mob. There are some lovely consonant sections which any choir could make exciting, but the difficult things are when the chords are cluster chords and quite dissonant. Um, it was absolutely thrilling. I'm not just saying this. I'm thrilled to bits by it. One does take a risk with um, a not very well known modern composer who one happens to know very well, actually, and you offer him this opportunity and you take a risk. So I'm honestly, I'm really thrilled with it, and it's a 10-minute piece, so it's very substantial,
Oh, wow.
and he goes through all sorts of beautiful effects. Because the thing about writing for the Tallis Scholars is that you're not just writing for a soprano, alto, tenor, bass chorus.
Right.
And this is specifically what I didn't want because that's what anyone does, everyone does. I wanted something written for us, which is scored four sopranos, four, and then two altos underneath the four, and then the tenors and basses, and we have 10 people on the stage. So I encourage him, and I've also encouraged Nico Muley in the
Right.
past
Yeah.
to write for us and get the sound that sonority can produce. And it takes a little bit of extra thought how to make use of four sopranos and then make the altos not just a sort of, because what tends to happen in these days is that the altos become a kind of second soprano. Well,
Right,
there's no space for that.
right,
And in Tudor music, the altos, as we just were saying, actually sing more or less in the tenor register. So we have altos who specialize in doing that. And then that helps you to understand how the four sopranos are going to act above the rest of the texture, which is lower, obviously. So that's the sound. And Nico, I must say, has really mastered this. I mean, and now Matthew, I made him, well, he knows very well anyway. He knows our recordings and yes, from long ago.
well, it's a very Renaissance thing to do, right? To write for a specific group, right? So as you were saying, right, with the Magnificat of John Nesbett, the Gimelbit, right, where the two trebles split, as you said, right, tells us that there were
Right,
two trebles singing because that's how they
right.
can fit into two voices, right? So in a way, you know, Matthew Martin in writing for you is a little similar to some composers. It's rare that we get to say when a Renaissance composer may have written for a specific group. But for example, the Tallis mass that you're performing, some people argue that it was performed in 1554 because a group from Spain was visiting and the two choirs were going to sing together, right? So
Right.
little historical moment. So you're adding to one of the gems for musicologists like myself for the future. But we look forward to hearing it in the concert. So once again, thank you so much, Peter. And just to remind everyone, the concert is Friday, December 5th, 2025 at 8 p.m. in St. Paul Church in Harvard Square. And then also, as Kathy said, tickets are available for the virtual concert, and that virtual concert will be running from December 13th until December 27th, 2025, and you can listen online. But Peter, I really look forward to hearing you and the Tallis Scholars. And I'm so grateful that Boston Early Music Festival brings you to our community every year. And on behalf of all of our friends from the greater Boston area, thank you for performing for us again.
Great pleasure. Thank you, Susie.
Cheers.